Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Silicon Nubian YouTube channel, where we're all about things tech. Today we're going to kick the tires and take a poke around one of my favorite Linux distributions, in particular of the Debian based distributions. This is SolydXK. SolydXK comes in two flavors. And all the ISOs are fully dated and released periodically throughout the year, being a rolling release. Once you install, the idea is that with just regular updates, you'll always be current. There are two versions, hence the SolydXK, X being the XFCE equipped variant, which we're looking at today, and K being the KDE variant. So here we have the login screen of this freshly installed copy of SolydX 9, and we see that we have a little blurb here on SolydX, open source, software is built, maintained, checked by the community. It tells you what repositories are about. Pretty good introduction for people who might be new to Linux. But this is when things get interesting. If I click on next, it can allow us to install codecs directly from the welcome screen. Here we have Flash. HTML5 is the default media player in Firefox, Firefox being the default web browser for SolydXK, SolydX. So you have the option to install Flash and CSS, of course, if you want to play commercial DVDs. And you would click on install, and it would do that for you from scratch. As these are proprietary software, it's very good, I think, for SolydXK, the developers, to give you this option post boot up. If we continue, we can install other things as well. We can install business applications, and I'll tell you a little bit about SolydXK right now. This is a good segue into this. While they are Debian based distributions, the developers are pushing it towards the small office, non-profit, and home users. So they have a broad scope that they want to present this distribution to, and I think they've done a good thing in doing that. So here again, from going through the welcome screen, we have you can install GNU Cache and Dolibar, which is a CRM, easy to use web software manager, business contacts, invoices, orders, product stocks, agenda, emailings, and whatnot, which sounds very nice. Project Libre, project management software. So good business bent there, most definitely. And for someone who may not be as skilled in installing software in Linux, this is very good from the get-go. You can become productive. We continue again. I see the heading, business applications. Go again. We see home applications. We GIMP. Very powerful, very well respected image manipulation program. Inkscape, open source vector graphics editor, similar to Adobe Illustrator, CorelDRAW, Shotwell, Digicam, Clementine, which is probably my favorite media player in Linux, and the Linux platform, Handbrake, multi-platform video encoding, format changing software, fantastic. Sound converter, audio files, convert them to different formats, and of course video editing software, Pitivi, and KDN Live. Transmission, of course, torrent client. Go again, and here we have system applications. So we have gparted, partition editor, VirtualBox, which this is running in right now, actually, and FileZilla. It is a FTP, FTPS, and SFTP client. So as we click through these pages, all we have to do to install all of them is click on the install button, and we can actually deselect or select as needed. Here we have games. Steam can be installed. Minetest, it's a Minecraft clone, I'd have to say. OAD, Battle of Wensnoth, and other stuff, Neverball and whatnot. Super Tux Kart. Here we go. Play on Linux allows you to install that as well. If you know what it is, you probably want it. If you don't, you may not. Again, Play on Linux allows you to play or to use Windows-based software in the Linux environment. For example, here you can see a tutorial on installing MS Office 2010 and other software. So that's all from the welcome screen when you boot up. Very nice. So let's dig a little bit deeper. I didn't install any of those things. Let's look at the software, because you can go back to that and do it anytime you want. Here we have a very, very clean, I love it, XFCE desktop. Right clicking will bring you a number of selections you can do. You can create documents, open terminal here. And while we're here, let's check the kernel. Okay, so we're running Linux 4.9.0-5, SolydXK Linux, Debian 4.9.65-3. Being based mostly on stable, you could see that it's not running the latest kernel, but it is a very stable, and it's designed to be a very stable and reliable desktop environment. I've had no issues with it whatsoever. Let's continue a little bit more. Open folders root, create symlinks, search, arrange your icons. We have desktop settings. We can go and change the wallpaper, and it's done in real time. Okay. These are all SolidX based, but you can choose whichever you want. Of course, you can change your backgrounds as you want to. So that's not a big deal. Nothing. And we have, of course, options for menus, include application menu, show sticky windows, show add, remove workspace options, and icons. We can change the icon size because we can put icons on the desktop. Absolutely no issue there. Properties, of course, and other things. And open folder as root, which is something I don't recommend you would do. Here we go to File Manager. We can see they use Thunar 1.6.11. Very fast, very good file manager. I've used it on a number of systems, have no complaints whatsoever. So that's when we right click on the desktop. Let's go down to the toolbar down below. We have a Clipboard Manager, which is indispensable for me. Right clicking, and we can, the properties is Clipman, very well known, works quite well. Here it's showing us that we have a network connection. We can set up a VPN connection if we want, with a left click or right click, and we can edit connections and go into other properties as well. Here we have the output, the sound output, and I like how it shows up here as well. And of course we can go straight to the audio mixer, playback, recording, output devices, input devices, configuration, and a lot of things we can do there. So pretty much standard for a well-heeled XFCE desktop. Right clicking on the bottom bar, we can the panel, we can properties, and we can change our properties there. Let's move to the left side. Now we have the file manager. Of course, we saw again Thunar 1.6.11. I like the icon theme that they've used. It's so far it's good for me. And here we have the folders that are available that are pre-configured: documents, downloads, music, pictures, and videos. Let's go. And here we have show the desktop. So let's go to the application menu. So here we have our user. We go to the settings. We'll go into that soon. And we have Firefox ESR. Again, no updates have been performed post installation. So what you're seeing is raw. Excuse me. Just basic updates have been performed. Please, I stand corrected. So what you see is the raw experience you would have. Ships with Firefox 52.5.2. If you haven't tried Firefox Quantum yet on any platform, I do recommend that you do. It's definitely, in my opinion, a pretty good leap in terms of performance, and Firefox has really stepped up their game. So give it a try, people. So we see Firefox. Now, here's the interesting thing. We have YouTube, which works right away, because remember,
he knows I'm a big fan.
Flash isn't necessary.
I'm a huge fan of you.
as YouTube by default you can have HTML5 and it works beautifully right out of the box. I like that. Thunderbird is your mail and client, which I use on all platforms, whichever I use. LibreOffice, we'll get to that. Settings Manager, Terminal Emulator. Let's go to Packages. Here we have a package manager. Of course, this is Debian, so apt-get is in there somewhere, but we do have an easier way to get packages. We can install, for example, the KDE Desktop, GNOME Desktop, Communication Admin Tools, so we can install complete GUI environments right here. GNOME, KDE, and we have other desktops. So we have a few of them available. Very interesting. Okay. We have fonts. We can install fonts from scratch, which is really good. Fonts in the Linux world at times has been an Achilles heel, font rendering and whatnot, but I have no issues with SolydX at all. Here we have games, graphics. Okay, and if you click on one, you can see gives you a little blurb about what it is. Very good. So we have internet, and let's make this a little bigger. There we go. The names aren't all descriptive. First, okay, we have localization, no results were found, legacy stuff. I wouldn't spend too much time in here unless I really need to. Networking, multimedia, other's always an interesting. You find things in here that otherwise you wouldn't see if you know what you're looking for. The great thing is we can search up here. For example, there it is. I wanted Chromium. Here we are. Chromium's available. It's Debian based, Debian 9, of course, being SolidX 9. Here we have Chromium 63 that's available in the repositories, and it's just a matter of clicking here and getting it installed, which isn't an issue whatsoever. So that's pretty good. So that's our little package manager. We have a little bit more friendly face to it if we want to use that approach. So let's continue. Let's look at, let's go to the settings manager and see what we have here. Once again, I really like the theme. It's playful in a way without being too childish. So we have personal. We can deal with GUI, configuration, utilities for appearance, preferred applications, desktop, workspaces, window manager, hardware. We can go to the display and see what's going there. Go back to all settings, keyboard, mouse, power manager, and go back, removable devices, SolydXK system settings. And this is something that the developers have worked on themselves. We'll let that start. Here we are. So this is system settings tool. We have device drivers. If we need repositories, we can select or deselect repositories. Localization, we can change it on the fly. F-stab mounts, encryption, holdback packages, cleanup. We have a cleanup section here on Plymouth Splash. So we can change the splash screen when logging in, and we can actually change the login screen resolution. So very, very good. Excellent. USB creator, so we can create a USB of the running system, take it with us. Here's the welcome that we've seen before, and the settings editor. Pretty good. I've seen more in other distributions, but I'm not going to complain. It's more than enough for the average user. So let's look at some of the software that comes included. Remember, we did not install anything extra from the welcome screen installation prompts. So let's look at this. System, we have bulk rename, disk usage analyzer. Of course, we have a Samba tool. Again, being that they're pushing this not just for the home user, but for businesses and nonprofits, you want to have something like this as well. So here we have users, shares, machines. So we have a nice tool there. We can get ourselves set up on a Windows network, existing Windows network. Okay. We have the GW package installer. You download packages from the net and you want to install them. or wherever. Lucky Backup, very good tool. Great that they've included it. Very good. Runs as super user, by the way, which is great. It should. Network, configure your network, packages. So we see your general network, your DNS, your hosts, and you could configure your network there in terms of how you appear on the network at least. So we've already looked at the package installer there, the graphical. Okay. And here we have the package updater. And it'll tell you all your packages are up to date. So that's nice that it's there. There's a package updater. A root terminal, print settings, standard printer settings. Looks a little nicer with the little graphic there, but it's pretty standard. Manage system D units, Synaptic Package Manager, of course. Here we are, the granddaddy of them. And being Debian based and using the Debian repositories, and I believe a few SolydXK repositories, you have, oh boy, so much software can be overwhelming, but it's good that they created also a graphical package installer as well for people who are less versed in using this. But this is a really, everything is there. I mean, you can't want for software. Of course, given the nature of the system, if you're looking for the most current software releases of any particular software package, this may not be the distribution for you. You can point to the Debian testing repositories with this. I showed you before where you can configure the repositories. You can do that and get more current software, but that is something you would do. And while testing doesn't necessarily mean unstable, it's not potentially less stable than packages in the quote-unquote stable repositories. Let's continue. Let's go to Office. LibreOffice is included by default, which is great. Very happy with that. This is what I use on many different platforms. And here we have version 5.2.7.2. I've already used it to print 1 or 2 documents. In multimedia, we have a pulse audio, volume control, VLC media player, and an XF burn. Of course, stuff can be added very easily, and you will be adding things to this most definitely. But I like how they included, for example, VLC media player, which is the Swiss Army knife of playing media. It's not perfect, but its inclusion is welcomed. And we have the volume control. Here we have right here, pulse audio. Internet, again, you don't have that many packages installed, but what's installed is very useful. We have the Firefox, we have Thunderbird, and we have the VNC server to share this desktop. You'd need the client to share someone else's desktop if they're running VNC, of course. Graphics, we have document of LibreOffice Draw. We have a Ristretto, I believe, image viewer and simple scan, and good enough to get started and get productive. Accessories, lots of accessories. Here we have Clam, antivirus, clip manager we saw before, Lucky Backup, we saw that, mousepad, editor, notes, sticky note program, I use that as well. Screenshots, sensor viewer, task manager, file managers in there, Xarchiver, XF burn. There is some overlap. For example, this was in multimedia, but it's okay. It's not that bad. And then we have settings, about me, desktop settings. We've seen this before, but there's a few extra ones. Iced-T web configuration, MIME text editor, notifications, how notifications are handled. Top right, they disappear after 5 seconds, and opacity, so we have control over that. So there, it seems in the settings we have a lot more than what's presented here in the XFCE typical settings box. We have a lot more. What else do we have? Power Manager, preferred applications, always good. We can change what's our preferred mail reader or browser, and utilities, which is our favorite file manager if you have a few of them installed and you want default ones, but you of course use others sometimes. So let's continue. System settings, we saw that. Synaptic, we saw that. System min, we saw that. Time and date, window manager tweaks, workspaces, and whatnot. We go into all, and it's just a rehash of everything we've seen. And we have favorites. And of course, we can lock the screen, we can switch users, and the logout is right here. So that's pretty much an overview of what you get with SolidX. But what you don't get, I should say, I stand corrected again, what you don't see is how solid, excuse the pun, the system is. Based on Debian, you're talking about a rock solid base system with, I'd have to say, a very friendly environment in terms of support. And the forums are there, and they're well run. You get a very clean desktop. The developers have made what I consider to be good choices with respect to what's included and what's not. And you have the complete pliability and configurability of Linux right in front of you. So in terms of performance, even though I'm running in a virtual environment, I do see differences. And I'd have to say that SolidX runs very well. No issues whatsoever with respect to any delays in anything that I want. So works pretty good for me. The CPU is 0.2. We could say memory being used just over 400 meg. Not too bad. Lots are free. We have a lot. It's very light. The SolidX will be lighter in terms of system resources than the SolidK. Obviously, X being, I should say, K being run on KDE, which is a little bit heavier desktop environment than X. I am quite happy with this. I used to run this on my main machine for over a year. The clock, time and date settings, digital and whatnot. I used to run it for a while and was very happy with it. I would definitely tell people, if you want a solid desktop, again, no pun intended, sorry, it comes out like that, and you want a reliable desktop, I would definitely give this a look-see, most definitely. It's one of the better distributions, and in my opinion, one of the better Debian spins out there. So that's my little look at SolidX. Hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe. Tell your friends about it. Subscribe. Give me a thumbs up if you like it. If you don't, you know what to do. Hope you did like it. And more videos coming up soon. I did complete my main PC, my everyday workhorse build based on an AMD Ryzen 1600X running Linux Manjaro. And I'm hoping to put that video together sometime soon and upload it for your viewing pleasure. Thanks a lot. Give us a look. If you're into hardware, building computers, computer hardware and whatnot, check us out on the links below. And also we have our more corporate business presence, I should say. And if you're into general hardware and technology, we also have links below in the groups that we're part of. You could feel free to join them and become a member and enjoy your time there as well. Take care, and thanks for watching.